Kenny Rogers, and I'm going to appear at the end of Noah. At the end of this review, you'll understand what we mean. Suffice it to say that Russell Crowe goes from being, Russell Crowe to, I don't know, like in the middle of the movie, his hair changed.
His hair changes at least 4 times.
Like 4 times his hair changes.
What was it at the beginning? He's got the long hair.
Yeah.
They had an assortment of wigs for this guy.
Yeah.
In all different lanes.
Yeah, so he goes from the
long hair, pretty wild man hair,
and then he goes
it's
to
always wild actually. He goes to
shorn, like a really
he buzz cuts it, which at that point it's his real buzz cut. I'm
pretty sure.
Pretty sure.
If that was not a buzz cut, that is the best goddamn wig I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's the shortest, best wig ever. I guess that it was just easier for him to just shave his head so he could wear all those wigs,
And then come near the end of the movie, he's so disheveled and drunk off his ass.
Yeah.
And he has this big old white beard. He looks like Will Sasso's Kenny Rogers.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that right
at the that's
towards the end of the movie. I'm trying to get an end to it, and I'm seeing freaking Kenny Rogers doing all this psychopathic Kenny Rogers. Playing Noah. Oh man! So this was one awesome fucking Noah.
Yeah. I went into this movie hearing bad things on both sides of the theological argument, the believers, the non-believers, and it looks like that for the believers this was not quite heretical. I mean, it's not like they were saying this shit never happened or anything like that, but it's portraying the Bible in a very Bible stories rather. It's portraying the Bible story as like the Old Testament because it's an Old Testament story. So
I mean, what else were they going to do with it?
Yeah,
I mean, other that wouldn't be.
But I love the fact that this movie went in and treating it like mythology. Yeah. There's fallen angels that fell to earth and the mud clung to their light, and so basically these gigantic rock golems, and they help build the ark. And
I'll say this much about the rock golem monsters. This is. I mean, now thinking about it. Old Testament, golem.
Oh yeah, but that's the Jewish Bible, not the Christian Bible.
Yeah, I know, but I'm suddenly realizing.
Well, the story of the golem is not about an angel that fell to earth, but there is a sort of
it was about write the word truth and you can destroy the golem or create it.
It was
write the word truth, you create it, and then.
It's about Eamath and Math. Eamath is truth, but you scratch out the Ea, becomes Math, which means
But
death.
This has nothing to do with these rock monsters. They were pretty awesome. I was worried at first, before we got to the backstory on them. I was like, oh, fallen angels, they're gonna be a bunch of Geodudes walking around. I was, this is gonna be I was like, yeah, I was right. This is gonna be a stupid action flick about Noah. It's gonna have rock monsters fighting people, and it did.
Well, it did, but
it wasn't. It wasn't stupid. It wasn't stupid action flick.
No,
it worked.
It worked, and I think they. I love the fact that this movie makes no bones about the fact that God is real in this movie. That. I don't think they ever called him God. They just called him the creator.
You were correct from whatever your sources were about this movie. They did not include God. They didn't have much divine intervention, as it were.
Well, they had light from the heavens and
but
shining.
You could say light from the heavens. People,
But they make no bones about the fact that God is real in this movie, and there's signs everywhere, like fucking fallen angels that are wandering the earth.
Yes.
And a lot of, not a lot, but. There's some Christian figures. We're talking Judeo-Christian. We're talking Methuselah.
Yes, Methuselah.
Who was Noah's father again? I forgot.
Noah's direct father.
crap, I forgot his name.
But it was descendant from
Descendant from Seth.
yeah.
The
these were the it was the children of Cain. The
no,
children,
no,
what?
it was the children of Adam and Eve had three sons.
Yes, Cain, Abel, and Seth.
Cain, Abel, and Seth. Seth, the George Best of the of the three children, the one that's never talked about.
Yes.
But Cain killed Abel, and then Cain was marked and
cast into the forests of what was it? The forests of isolation or something.
Well, apparently he begat an entire clan of.
Well, that's why I'm saying there were the children of Cain.
Yeah, the children of Cain, but he
wicked ones.
He begat an entire race of people with. Excuse me for a moment. An entire clan of people that are just basically ruining the earth. That are taking stripping the world bare, and the fallen ones, the fallen angels, looked at the humankind and pitied them, and because they interfered, they became, the Watchers, the rock golems.
Yes, very awesome. How they were encrusted in mud. They were celestials. They were beings of light, and they showed in a very interesting kind of clip format, like slide,
like a time lapse photography almost.
Yeah, it was almost like not stop motion, but where you flip it and it.
Oh yeah.
So it was really neat.
So some of the
cinematography there, and it shows the story of it shows this whole story of creation, and the beings of light go down to Earth to help out humanity. And
were punished
by God and turned into rock golems.
And I think one of my favorite parts of the movie was when they were telling the story of how they pitied the humankind, and then taught them everything they knew, and used that same knowledge to basically ruin the earth and strike back against the Watchers. Methuselah comes out of nowhere. With brandishing the biggest longsword he has.
It lights on fire.
It lights on fire, sticks the sword in the ground, an entire wave of fire.
And they do not pass, yeah.
That is I think that moment, it happens pretty early on in the movie, but I think from that moment on...
We knew that this was probably going to be awesome.
This was going to be... I had no doubt that this was going to be an action movie, but this is an action movie where you want to see more of it. I mean,
yes. They didn't do it. It wasn't boring, lazy, and tired, and they didn't do it just for the sake of special effects. It was more like the special effects were for the sake of the story.
Which, when you're talking about something like Noah's Ark and 40 days and 40 nights of nonstop rain and all the animals and the Ark itself, then
and didn't focus on the animals.
No,
you would expect from the story because of all the other renditions of it that it's going to be mostly seeing all the different species of animals going in 2 by 2 and talking about the animals and should we let those ones on or maybe we shouldn't.
One of the few problems I have with the movie is that they kind of arrived at they try to answer all the questions that logically you would put in your head. Why, if there was only 2 of every animal, does that mean the bears try to eat the birds?
Well, because the lions eat so much.
Yeah, so
you would think what are they feeding the lions in this trip? But they're going to go through all the other animals.
So you have all the logical problems. What about the sewage? I mean, animals shit and piss.
I was like, God, smell really freaking bad in Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I know.
But I mean, these are all classic questions that they did not answer.
They didn't answer because
they didn't even try though, and that's probably the point.
Well, here's the thing: they did try because remember they had the whole sequence where they discovered, hey, we could put the animals to sleep, so that way they don't try to fight among each other.
Oh, they have magic, by the way. They have little bits of magic.
Yeah, little bits of magic. They have old world alchemy and apparently old world parenthood tests.
Yeah, that was interesting. They have a little.
They have a way. They have a means to telling when your woman is pregnant. Yeah.
They have a pregnancy stick, and it's really nifty, I guess.
It's pretty fucking helpful, is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. The story goes, it goes from 40 days and 40 nights. That's the flooding. But, all right, surprise, Emma Watson's in this movie, and she plays...
spoilers!
Yeah,
spoilers for Noah's Ark.
Yes. But Emma Watson's in the movie, and she plays one of Noah's son's love interest. And she was barren before because she was wounded as a child. But Anthony Hopkins as Methuselah just like, hey, blessing. Now go bang your boyfriend.
Oh my god,
and
he puts fuck frenzy in her.
Yeah, he does. Like Anthony
touches
Hopkins
her.
as Methuselah just does a lay on hands, and like, you have my blessing. Then all of a sudden she just does one of these.
Oh, the trees suddenly seem a bit leafier, and the sun seems a little brighter, and then her
uterus.
And her hormones get a little bit more.
So what she does with this newfound fertility is just she runs to
the nearest man, which was lucky for her to be her boyfriend.
Yeah, pretty much. I have a feeling that if it
was anybody else, she would have just like
she would have
ravaged them.
Oh man, she looked like a woman on a mission. She was going to fuck something.
It was a fuck frenzy, man.
Yeah, she was either going to fuck a dog, fire, whatever was. I happened to be at that one place.
No fuck fight day. It was a mutual thing.
It was a mutual thing. Although if that would have turned into another fuck fight scene, I think Aronofsky saw our vlogs. I would have thought that he saw our vlogs and was like, well, that's what this movie needs. A fuck fight scene. But she gets impregnated. She gets impregnated, and she finds out on the boat. But then she gives birth. 9 months went by. That's way more than 40 days and 40 nights. So
yeah.
Well, all right.
Actually, pregnant a little earlier than.
Actually, to be fair, when they fucked, to the point where they fucked and found out that she was pregnant, the rain I think had stopped, and they were just kind of floating around for about 8 months.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
I
So
don't remember the exact.
Yeah, but using by that math, but apparently Noah. And this is where the movie, I think, takes a brilliant turn. Noah goes from a man who gets messages from God. He gets messages from God saying, oh my God, everything is going to be dying a horrible, watery death. And then it's like, well, I can save all the animals on the sea. But then he gets another vision. And this is probably, like, this was legitimately terrifying. Like, his vision of, like, the frenzied men of Cain.
Yeah.
And they're just, like, tearing animals to pieces, trying to feed each other.
I loved that scene. I think that was my favorite scene.
Like the tearing animals like from limb to limb.
They have this makeshift fence up to separate like the city people from like the barbaric animal people who have, because there's only so much room for people. There's only so much resources at this point. There's like, which is basically none, and the savage people are clawing at the fence and they're starting to break it open, and they did to stave them off. They'd throw a goat into the frenzy, and they all freaking descend on it like harpies and tear it apart. It was like blood's everywhere.
It was like the calf. It was like the calf scene at the end of Apocalypse Now.
Yeah,
and he sees this, and he puts it all together. And it's like, well, it looks like humanity was not meant to survive this flood. We were supposed to build the ark, write it out, make sure the animals are okay. But when that happens, we're going to die out. Yeah. However, this plan comes to a grinding halt when Emma Watson says that she's pregnant, and now Noah has got a little bit of crazy in him. And I said, well, I got to kill those babies. And if it's a man, all right. Here's the fucked up thing. He says if it's a boy, then he will be the last man on earth. He'll grow to be but if it's a woman, I'm going to kill her right there.
Well, this makes...
Why couldn't she be the last woman on Earth?
No, it's because if it's a woman, there's a chance that she will have a chance to grow old enough to get knocked up by one of the other guys.
What? The movie kind of skirts by the issue of the, like... what was it? Genesis 3:8 or something like that? Where, Lot and his wife... Where, like, the whole Sodom and Gomorrah story, where, like, all of Sodom and Gomorrah was burned to flame except Lot and his family. And yet they got a whole new tribe of people going. Yeah. I wonder how that happened. So they kind of had to skirt by the kind of, the incestuous undertones, the fact that these, I think about 5 people left at the end of the year, at the end of the day. Like, about 5 people are left. Yeah,
it's gonna
if humanity is going to continue, well, according to this movie's logic, we're all children of Emma Watson. You got a little Emma Watson in you.
Which reminds me, No, yeah, I get to see Hermione give birth
Yeah.
to twins.
Yeah, to twins, which...
And I've just been rewatching the Harry Potter series. So, yeah.
He's like, I'm Hermione Granger.
I am literally in the space of 1 week gone from seeing Hermione at Harry Potter 1 age to seeing her giving birth. And... awkward, man.
I know.
But what I wanted to...
It's like you know what it is? It's like watching Alyssa Milano's
Oh,
childhood.
in Commando?
Yeah, like watching Alyssa Milano
Oh my god,
and
that was horrifying.
you know, seeing her in like Commando, and then like watching one of her movies where she's topless.
I was just drilling a little bit there, thinking of Alyssa Milano, but then yeah, Commando, and you see her as a little
girl. Then you feel like a
god.
creep. You feel like feel
Yeah.
like the biggest creep.
But yeah, I guess that.
Well,
This was like reverse order though,
Yeah, I
because
know.
now I'm seeing her.
Well, here's the thing.
Older.
Like, here's the thing. When she was that age, you were that age. So
That's true.
that was,
I did get to. It is cool to be able to say I experienced Harry Potter when I was going to school at the same, you know.
well, yeah. Oh, actually, well, that's going off on a different tangent.
I know that's as far as I was going to carry that.
But
And what was I getting at?
like
evolution.
Noah. We were still going on Noah being a psychotic, and the crux of the movie.
Oh, we were talking about how they were coming from an incestuous.
Oh,
place,
yeah.
But let's talk about psychotic. Noah,
Yeah, the
'cause that's
psychotic
fun
one.
part.
That was, I think that was like the smartest decision as far as making a movie about this
Yeah.
story is concerned. And they made the issue of Noah receiving messages from God as literal interpretations. Like, there is no doubt whatsoever that these are direct messages from God, but being it's God, he's not exactly very forthcoming with what he wants Noah to do. So Noah has all these fucking... Like, on one hand, you're going to see how he arrives at these conclusions, but on the other hand, you got to imagine that...
I mean, no, it's a little like Melancholia in that way, in that you didn't actually see any... Well, there wasn't even really a god in Melancholia at all, but she would get visions and she knew that they were going to happen. And she knew this was it.
Yeah.
He knew that this was going to happen from his visions.
I mean, he knew it was going to happen, but what he didn't know was like humanity's place in this new future that God has created or is intending to create, and that's where the real crux of the story, hinges on. I thought it was going to be whether or not that Noah can escape on the ark and escape the wrath of the men of Cain, because
Yeah, it just seemed it was the obvious plot line.
it was the obvious plot line. And the king, their king of the men of Cain, manages to squirrel his way onto board and eats who knows how many species on board.
I loved that guy.
Yeah, I love that guy. He just like takes a lizard. Like, one of his sons finds him on board. He finds a lizard, just bites his head off. He's like, "All the animals here are precious." It's like, well, there's only one of me, and just like throws the lizard away.
God made us in His image, and He put us because everything. He was not satisfied with His other creations. He needed something better. And so He put us here to subdue all other creations.
Bow down, worms. We have dominion. Like, I like to think like over
That's
the
how I am when I go to like Burger King. I'm like, I want a quarter pounder with cheese.
quarter pounder with cheese at a Burger King,
I put all creation I lay waste to creation.
But his place in the movie, I thought, was like the obvious, like he was the obvious antagonistic force. But really, the main antagonistic force of this movie
Was Russell Crowe's own self.
is Russell Crowe. Really, he's him struggling to make sense of his messages from God.
This was really a man versus self kind of movie.
And that's where I think the movie takes the right turn. I mean, it gets to the point where Jennifer Connelly, who plays his wife, and by the way, this is the second goddamn movie where I've seen Russell Crowe and Jennifer Connelly in the exact same.
Jennifer Connelly's older. It's been a long time since I've seen her.
Yeah.
It felt a little weird.
When I saw her in Winter's Tale, I had to do a double take. Like, is that Jennifer Connelly?
Feels like so short a time ago that I saw Requiem.
Yeah. Well, And she's had enough of Noah's shit. Like
Oh, yeah.
like she has stood by him through like all these crazy visions, and
Yeah.
I've had to work on this fucking ark for years.
Oh, they have by the way, the Ark. You wonder how that was made without the help of the children of Cain, the rock golems.
Yeah, it's the rock. Yeah, exactly. And she basically, takes him by side, and having her Oscar moment, she kind of goes like,
It was good.
yeah, it was good. She basically said like, you will die alone and unloved and hated
But yeah,
if you kill those babies. And he says like, I got to do what God tells me to do.
And it was good. It was a good performance from Russell Crowe, from Jennifer Connelly, from Emma Watson. Everybody all around did a pretty good job. Even also the guy.
Also
the kid who looked like Reese from
Oh.
Malcolm in the Middle.
Yeah, his story was oddly enough. I think I'm disappointed that his place in the story wasn't very prominent, but it did have its place. His middle child, who's Reese, is basically despondent by the fact that he does not have a girl, like he doesn't have a wife, and will never will have a wife. So he disobeys his father and goes into the men of Cain and finds an innocent girl who is starving in basically a death pit.
Yes.
And he tries to save her, but this was during the most inopportune times when the men of Cain decided to take over the ark because the floods are coming, and Noah basically leaves the girl behind, trapped.
She gets she steps in a bear trap.
She steps in a trap, and Noah just
And the kid Reese is trying to help her out of it before the children of Cain trample them like a stampede. And Noah comes along and is like, "Yeah, Noah's here to save the day." And he takes his son and he's
tells
like,
him to run off.
No, he's like, "Run off, run off!" And he's like, "Are you gonna help?" No.
No, like
She gets-
he tries to make one attempt to save her, but then looks off and is like, "Fuck it," and
it's
just runs.
not working out, and she gets trampled.
And that was an really unexpected turn.
Yeah,
I think.
it was. I like that.
And it was that moment where Reese, well, let's just call him Reese. I think his name was Ham.
Yeah, actually, yeah, his name was.
Ham, I know. Ham. I want all the ham. But he finds the leader of the children of Cain stowaway on the ark, and he basically takes like a dark side turn, like he's like Emperor Palpatine to Ham's Anakin. It's like, you hate your father. No, I don't. You want revenge.
Yes,
No,
you
I
do. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Does that.
I do want revenge. I want revenge against Russell Crowe. I want revenge against Les Miserables and Winter's Tale.
And now he's gonna kill your sister's babies, or not sister, but
Yeah,
he's
like
gonna-
it is his sister's, your nieces. He's going to kill your nieces. Are you going to let him? And well, when you put it like that, I think you kind of have to stop Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
But he does the right thing at the end, and
Oh yeah. Also, no, wait. Can I get welding mask?
oh. Well, during up to the build up to like the final confrontation between like the children of Cain and Noah's, makeshift ark, the king is just announcing like, we will kill the Rock Guardians and we will take what is ours.
We will do it with weapons forged from metal. Welding mask.
And he had like a medieval welding mask on.
It is literally just the same as any welding mask today, except that it's made out of, makeshift. It was made out of rock.
I know.
Whatever, it's forgivable, but it was funny.
It was hilarious. And that's what it was.
It was. Oh man.
And I wish Anthony Hopkins had a bigger part in this.
Oh yes, so Anthony Hopkins.
He plays Methuselah, and he has a bit part where he kind of guides Noah through his visions.
He's the one who sends Hermione on a fuck frenzy.
And he also gives Noah the seed from Eden, so that way they can grow a forest and
get their lumber.
But the best part is, like, throughout the entire movie, he's just been jonesing for berries.
He's been jonesing from scene 1 to fiend.
From scene 1 to his final scene where the flood kills him.
Yep.
He's just wanting a berry.
And then this guy, he couldn't hold back anymore. This guy couldn't hold back anymore.
I just whispered over him, berries? Berries what else?
Personally, I think that was our worst theater moment for being good theater goers. Man, we just
Like, this guy could not shut up.
you knew what you were gonna unleash.
Yeah, I know. Berries and cream, berries and cream. I'm a little lover of those berries and cream. God, we are 10 years old.
I know. That's so old.
I know.
But yeah, the guy loved his fucking berries, man.
Yeah, he just
loved his berries.
loved his berries. It just wanted another
I
berry
thought
before
that it
he
was
died.
just a little thing, a little quirk in the beginning, or where he was like, "Oh, you're talking about berries."
Berries.
It's like, "Oh, I miss berries, and I'll put you to sleep."
Yeah, Methuselah was just
Yeah.
magic.
But then he was serious. He wanted those fucking berries,
He did.
and he's just foraging around like a man who's like the blind man who lost his eye, you know, looking for those berries.
It's like right before the flood comes, and he finds a berry.
Finds a berry in that sweet moment.
And then
Blood hits him.
and the flood hits him, and just doing this,
just-
like yes,
Can go now. Oh man! Oh, and the rock monsters. What I really loved was, so they create a wall.
They create like a human wall, like a golem wall.
a golem wall to defend the ark, and they're doing, you know, they're pretty formidable. So the children of Cain, they will just wash upon them, and they just, you know, and then finally, what's his name?
The king of
King Cain, whatever.
Yeah, like
He manages to slay one of the rock beasts, and the rock monster looks up and is just like, "I am so sorry, my creator," you know. And
my creator, and then his spirit is free.
the stones just break, and the angel of light ascends to the heavens from the
And then all-
shambles,
Then all of the, of course, all of the Watchers.
and they're like, "Holy
Yeah, holy fuck, we're ascending. We've
the creator took him home, guys!
just this is our
Let's
stand."
go get killed!"
And then when the last Watcher rather, ascends into heaven, the earth cracks open, and then just geysers of water just flow through,
Yeah.
and just wipe away the children of men, basically. And only the king manages to stow away on the ark, and well, then
Because of course he doesn't give a shit about his men.
no, of course not. And this begins what I almost want to say like part 2 of the story, because when the flood was happening, I thought like, wow, this movie does
Yes.
not feel 2 hours long.
Yeah, it was.
And then it went into this brilliant territory with him confronting his own visions of God, and then finally looking at Hermione Granger's little baby daughters, and it was like,
Oh yes, this is let me kill him. He's like, "I will hold them while you kill them." And you're like,
I can't do it. I can't kill the babies.
I can't be Voldemort. Oh, he's just like throws it down.
I can't do it. I failed God.
Yes.
And
I failed all of you. I've failed God.
failed. And so that's when he goes into Kenny Rogers mode.
That's when he goes to Kenny Rogers mode.
It just like
goes all castaway up in a cave.
and then just spends all his days drinking wine and just like.
Yeah.
With truth be told, that's probably how Russell Crowe spends all his Sunday evenings.
You know, you
Just passed out on an
get to see
Australian
him.
beach.
You get to see him naked, like on the shore, like a beached whale, with his wine and an empty wine mug, and yeah, actually they have to go scrape him off the shore, like.
Oh man, it would be so great if he Marlon Brando'd that shit as he was being rolled around the. Like,
God have
somebody-
forsaken wine. Yes.
somebody get me some more Uzo.
How are the babies?
I hope they got nice and fat. But I think
No, he really was fucking psycho in this movie, though.
he was, and you know, considering the last Russell Crowe movie I saw, Winter's Tale, where he
Yeah.
was completely psychotic,
Still
but
haven't
in a
seen
different, like in a
Yeah.
like a cheesy way. It's good to see him go back to his roots and realize that he was meant to be fighting around the world.
it. He's finding a way to incorporate it. He's finding a way to utilize it in movies instead of force it in.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair to say, isn't it?
So, I think the big question we have to ask ourselves is: we went into this movie, I kind of not expecting a bad movie per se. I don't think.
No, you know the. I like the psychopathic thing because it's how you would envision somebody who has that much zeal.
And someone who, well, let's face it, in Noah's position.
Yeah, for someone to have to basically assist in the extermination, really lead the extermination of all humankind. Assist, I guess. God takes care of the flood, but he has to make sure that he has to lead his family along onto this ark, and then he tells them the news afterwards how they're not going to be allowed to live. Like, you will kill him, and he will kill you, and he will kill. I'm trained at this killing shit, so don't fuck it up.
Well, let's face facts. He failed God once the King of Cain, you know, crept on board and ate like a unicorn and Volt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And each time he eats a few animals, and each time you see him in a scene eating an animal, you're like, oh, there goes another animal that didn't make it.
Is that
I wonder what that would have been.
Is that the reason why we don't have dragons?
It's like, that's the reason we don't have dragons.
It's because this asshole ate one too.
Yeah. Last point I wanted to get to was the evolution scene.
Yeah.
They eventually, when he tells the story to them of why they all have to die, and
It's the creation story.
and apparently this is a story he's told them many times.
No. He heard it once from his father, who beget Methuselah,
okay.
who beget Enoch, and
Oh yes, and
they mispronounced Enoch. They called him
said
Enosh, or something?
Enosh.
Not Enoch.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
But it's a minor foible.
Well, it was like the only real big.
Yeah, like it's a foible and nothing more.
Yeah,
But they showed the creation story, but they showed it like in the progression of like cellular life and evolving into mammals, and then apes.
it was all accurate. It was like Big Bang. The world was created. It had land masses. It had water. And then there were life. Green covered the earth, and fish in the ocean. The fish. They show the fish crawling out of the water onto land, and it has feet. And you're like, okay, this is accurate. And that turns into another animal. Eventually, monkeys. And you're like, here comes. Oh, they're gonna do it. They're gonna put evolution into the story of Noah. Yeah. This is gonna make so many people pissed.
They framed the creation story doing the whole and God saw it was good, and day on the second day.
Oh, sure, they wrapped it up with the
it was the creation story almost verbatim, but it was Adam and Eve. But it was Adam and Eve framed using evolution.
Well, they took the narration was more online with creationism. But the visuals were much more evolution. It showed the fish growing arms and legs and walking on land. That's evolution. Mm-hmm. And they went from that to monkeys. This is evolution. They did not take it to humans. That would have been way too far. It would have made too many people upset in a movie that was based on the Bible.
Yeah.
So they did at the end say, okay, so all this evolution basically happened up to monkeys. Then the humans, Adam and Eve, they just kind of landed.
God just kind of poofed them into being, and then the whole story of temptation and whatnot. But
so it was like a compromise.
I guess it was sort of like them saying intelligent design.
And it's like, yeah, sure, God still did all this. Maybe he did it a little bit more like this, though. Yeah. A little more, realistically.
I suppose. But it's kind of hard to argue evolution when this is, like...
Exactly.
It's hard to argue, like, the point of evolution in using this movie's in-universe logic.
That's why it was kind of funny to see them do that, because they didn't really have any reason to.
Yeah, I know, because
nobody.
Yeah, like because there is no doubt that God exists in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's proof positive of angels on Earth.
Yeah.
So, it seemed like I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It like I looked at that and I'm thinking, are they saying that the story that Noah's father told him was basically the story of evolution just sped up? And I don't think it was necessary, but I think that was Aronofsky just sort of saying that he's treating the Noah's story purely on a mythological, purely as mythology, not as fact, like son of God or God is not dead. Would. But we're gonna get back here. We arrived at this movie probably without the best of expectations. I mean, considering the last two movies we sat through, I think that would have been a safe bet to say, well, it couldn't have been worse than last week's.
Yeah.
That would have been a safe time to say that, but thankfully none of us jinxed that. But I think this is not a great movie, but certainly I think there was
It's a decent movie.
It's more than decent. I'm willing to more say this is a good movie. Probably not worth. Well, no. I think it is worth seeing in theaters because there's some good
visuals in this.
There is some great visuals, and I think that will be lost on the small screen. So if
not like quite, I don't know if it's quite not on a Life of Pi kind of visual scale, but still pretty good.
It was a worthwhile movie to see in theaters, which I think exceeded my expectations, and
definitely exceeded mine. I thought it was going to be worse than he thought it would be.
I
didn't think it would be bad.
I didn't think it was going to be bad because I kind of trust Aronofsky to make decisions that lesser directors would not even think about, let alone give any credence to.
Yeah.
So, I trusted Aronofsky, and I'm glad I did. As far as his work is concerned, I think this is not his best work. I think that still goes to Black Swan. But
definitely. Black Swan's definitely better than this.
Yeah. But Aronofsky... But I think that this is the movie that Aronofsky can be most proud of, though, because this is a very risque subject to tackle, and he did it in a way that the Christian fundamentalists were always going to be pissed at this movie. But he did it. Yeah. He told a Bible story in a non-biblical way.
Look, if I had to watch a Bible story, this is probably the one I'd pick out.
Yeah.
So that means something.
Yeah. Even more than say.
Oh.
No, I can't really even compare it to anything because I never really liked Ten Commandments. Charlton Heston.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, I do think this is probably the most surprising movie. I would say it's surprising in that when you're going into a movie, even if you're expecting good things, you weren't expecting the movie to take the.
I was more surprised by Lego Movie, to be honest.
No, I mean, I was surprised how much I liked it. I knew I was going to like it.
No, I didn't think I'd like it at all.
Well,
I loved it. It was good.
Yeah. I mean,
so for me, I did not. I didn't get any review or any kind of. I didn't look up Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that. I just went into it thinking Lego Movie. I'd never seen any Lego movies before. There have been. Haven't there?
No,
or were they just TV show things or something?
They had some animated shows about Bionicle and.
Yeah, I don't know. So I just went into this. I went into Lego Movie thinking it was just gonna be bad. A little bit of it was good. This one I went into thinking it was gonna be bad.
Mm-hmm. But there was a wider gap between expectation and end result in Lego Movie
and in this one.
Than in this one. Well. Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Even though I was expecting to like it, and I wound up loving the Lego Movie.
Yeah.
But here I'm more surprised by the direction it took, and I wouldn't say the mettle of Darren Aronofsky to take the story where he took, but rather I want to say I had a feeling that somewhere during the making of this movie, like he got notes from the producers saying like, you can't have Noah threaten 2 babies with a knife, or you can't have.
You're right, it was ballsy. It was very ballsy in that way.
Yeah, you can't have.
You can't have Noah be a fucking zealot the way he was.
In the way it was, but true enough, but sure enough, the movie he wound up making was probably the best movie you could possibly make out of Noah. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine how you could do the Noah story better.
In that respect, it was a great movie.
Mm-hmm. It was
just because of how difficult a task that is.
Yeah, it was. It was at once. I wouldn't say it was respectful to the source material because, well, if you actually read the story of Noah, then you kind of know that how unfilmable that is.
Yeah. In the movie, I thought it seems like it can only come out like, okay, all-out stupid action remake, or just really preachy.
Yeah.
And
and they found a good balance, and they found a good direction to take the story. Is how do you deal with the visions of God if you can prove that God exists?
Yes.
So there is actual weight behind.
My favorite parts of the movies was definitely the conflict of the children of Cain, just in itself. I just very much enjoyed that part of the story because I've always enjoyed that part.
Yeah.
The sin of Cain.
It's when you're looking at it as like Christian mythology. Yeah. It's I don't think there's really. I don't want to say. I don't think that there are enough movies that treat the Christian mythology sources with, like if they had they did what Noah did, and they looked at like say the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, or the story of King David.
Yes.
I mean, if we could go treat the stories of the Bible as mythological stories, like the way we treat like Greek mythology, I'm sure that there are great movies to be. Yeah. Great stories to be told if we could just let go of the fact that these things did not happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stop trying to make it realistic. All these 300 kind of movies.
I hope you did not say realistic and 300 in the same sentence.
300 kind of movies.
Oh.
All of these movies that are kind of teetering on where they want to go. Mm-hmm. Are we going to go with the mythological or a more realistic, historically accurate kind of interpretation?
Or or make it like a character study, like the way the Last Temptation of Christ. That was probably that's the best Jesus movie that has ever been made.
Yeah.
And because they treated the story
Temptation of Christ.
Last Temptation of Christ.
You know what? Thank you for that, by the way. That is definitely my favorite biblical story, more than this one.
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't think it's a real fair comparison because that is just
it's a masterpiece.
Of course, but if they went that route where they treated the figures in the Bible as actual people rather than like icons and rather as morality tales, then there are great stories to be had. And before we sign off, one last thing. We sat through a trailer. And I'm excited about this movie. Aren't you excited about this movie?
Yeah.
Hercules!
Oh my God. Do you smell what Hercules is cooking?
Now this is the big dumb action movie that... This looks like it's going to be so much fucking fun.
Speaking of which, the guy in this movie sure screamed like Reb Brown.
The King of Cain.
The King of Cain was just
like he was. He screamed quite a bit, especially when the floods came. And oh shit! I'll get you.
I'm not afraid of miracles. I'm not afraid of miracles. I believe in miracles.
But no, if you haven't seen the trailer for Hercules,
watch it.
Watch it, and then be as pumped as we are, because there's this one moment in the trailer. There's this one
where he's mugging the camera, and he's opening his mouth.
And then, like, right as he screams, the elephant horn from Inception happens. Like, he's literally making the noise.
And we were just like,
Yes! This is how you make dumb action movies work.
fuck yes.
You turn everything up to 11 and you just let
the good times roll.
I mean, if you're going to do a big dumb action movie, why hold back? That's the problem.
Why hold back? Why not get The Rock?
Why not get The Rock? Why not?
He doesn't look like, you know, well, you imagine Hercules. Who gives a shit? It's The Rock.
It's The Rock. I mean, at least he looks, you know, he bulked up for that.
Yeah,
I mean,
really.
Jesus.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun.
That is going to be fun.
Oh.
God, but...
So we got Guardians of the Galaxy to look forward to.
We got Guardians of the Galaxy, and we got...
Hercules.
So, two movies.
At least 2 movies that we're looking...
We're Dan Skippy looking forward to.
Yeah.
Then there's Spider-Man 2.
Movies were not.
Well, thank God we didn't get that preview for the movie.
I'm getting that preview every time, every damn time. And hate it a little more each time.
Mm-hmm. God. But
I didn't like the other 3 that much. A little bit. Maybe success.
But the last one with Mark.
It's too early to remake Spider-Man.
Exactly.
And you were supposed to try to do better than the last ones, not worse.
Yeah. But as I said before, Noah, surprisingly good. Go see it. It's got the Sage and Gabe seal of approval. Crash and burn.
Crash and burn.
Till next time.